Hello everybody, Mike, aka The Magico13, here with episode 5 of the Out of This World series. As you can see, we have a couple extra parts we need to unlock, such as this Attachotron prototype docking port. And we've got the Thinker Science Lab, and then the Plant Lab, and I don't remember what everything else is. But yes, this stuff, if you do not recognize, is part of Station Science, which is a mod that aims to make space stations a little more useful, because in the stock game, they're really only useful for refueling stations, which we can't use because we don't have any docking ports, and for getting a little bit extra science, but it's usually just better to land on Kerbin. So, yes, so the station science stuff is going to maybe be used later. For now, we need to set up a remote tech network. However, I had one of the antenna in here, and apparently fairings don't protect those. So this currently has no signal at all and is just stuck going straight up. So yeah, this is basically the ship that we'll be using to deploy all of our satellites. I was originally going to go for 3, but you will see why that becomes an issue later. Yes, we're going so fast, in fact, that we get re-entry effects while trying to exit. I don't know what our apoapsis right now is nearly 240 kilometers, but yeah, I don't know what the max speed, the terminal velocity is. So yeah, so I think I've fixed the issue with the antenna, and now I've used smaller boosters, and this is pretty much the final version that we use. We've got, yeah, this still goes substantially faster than it probably should with these boosters, and in fact now I know that I could have just done a thrust limiting on them, which actually would have been more efficient. Using tweakables, I could decrease the thrust the max thrust that they can do, which will make them burn longer but slower, which would have been helpful here because we were going stupidly fast. But we have enough delta V, I think. Yeah, we've got like roughly 6 kilometers per second of delta V in total. I think this is also our first probed mission. So, as you know, with the IVA aspect of this, all manned missions are done in IVA. You can't really do that with unmanned missions, so I instead am doing them entirely with the flight computer. I am not actually allowed to press the WASD keys, and that is pretty much the one restriction that I'm putting in. I also obviously have to have a signal back with Kerbin. And speaking of signals to Kerbin, I have not extended the 2.5 megameter omnidirectional antenna at this point, and instead we're going off of the 500 kilometer dipole antenna that will not be knocked off from atmosphere. Yeah, the omnidirectional, when it's extended, you get that issue of once you're going fast enough, it just falls off. So you can only use it outside. So the other thing is, I'm trying to line up with this maneuver node. If I don't put in a time myself, it will start the burn at the maneuver node, which is not ideal. You want to split the burn across the maneuver node, so half of it is before the time, like before the maneuver node, and half of your burn is afterwards. The reason being that maneuver nodes are... Oh yes, status connection error. We are now out of range, and I'm hoping that I can maybe get in range, but Kerbin turns very slowly, and we go right past, and this is where I speed it up, and now we're just going to burn up an atmosphere. Actually, surprisingly, not a lot of us burns up, and the rest of it just explodes. But our engine does, in fact. I actually can't control anything right now, at all. This is all just automated. And that noise is deadly reentry, breaking things. We got up to apparently 24G, and then boom. So yes, that did not work. We need to remember to extend that omnidirectional, and here we go, launch. This is going to be, I think, our standard launch profile. Maybe. This one might be a little shallower than normal, but it's basically, once we get to 10,000 meters, we switch over to 75 degrees. Yeah, we're already going almost Mach 2 now. Yeah, Mach 2. Still just going. Mach 3. Yeah, we're going a little fast. So yeah, once we hit 10 kilometers, we pitch to 75. Drop our boosters, and then we pitch over to 45, and the normal flight profile is that we just keep it at 45 until we get to an apoapsis of 1.5 megameters. And my video is now lagging. Yeah, okay. I heard the fairings go off, but I didn't actually see them. So we activate the reflectron, point it at the active vessel, which ironically is this vessel, which is not very useful. And we activate the omnidirectional antenna, which is how all of these satellites will be communicating with each other. They have a range of 2.5 megameters, and I'm taking this out to an apoapsis of 1.5 megameters, so they'll be able to communicate with mission control when they... Yeah, okay, so this used the standard flight profile. Now we should drop this stage. Timing for that was pretty good. Add a maneuver at our apoapsis to circularize, and we're just going to use the exec button. So here we go, we have our maneuver. Set this to the node prograde. I don't know if the throttle needs to be set to 100% for this. Probably not, but I want to be safe anyway. Press the exec button, and now, 29 minutes from now, when the maneuver hits, it will burn, and we'll see how that does. It's not perfect, but with such a large distance and a relatively small burn, it's a 26-second burn, we are not experiencing too much of an issue. And this doesn't need to be as precise. I can always change it up later. It's a little worse when you're trying to do your circularization burn around Kerbin, because you need to be at least 70 kilometers on either side, and it has a tendency of not doing that. So yeah, there we go. We have our first satellite up. You can't do geosynchronous or Kerbo-synchronous orbits around Kerbin with Alternis, because it rotates very slowly. I think a day is actually a day. So yeah, so here's our next one, same sort of thing. This one's launched, so it should have... this one is launched an hour, roughly, after the last one, so that they will be approximately 1/3 of the way around, because the orbital period is about 3 hours. So that should give us about 120 degrees. They should be able to see each other. But, as you may notice, I have everything active for remote tech, and these are not able to talk to each other using the omnidirectionals. They could with the antenna if I had used the 45-degree cone angle antenna instead of the... I want to say this one has like a 10-degree or a 20-degree. So that was kind of poor choice, but it has a further range, so we need to send up some additional ones which will go between the others. So this one should go between these two, and as you can see, will bridge the connection between them. And this is actually not that big of an issue. Yeah, so standard flight profile requires that we drop that stage. I forgot to drop that stage. Luckily, it'll still return to Kerbin, Unfortunately, it messes up this burn somewhat. And the flight computer, I think, sort of compensates because the remaining duration will go negative. But we'll have to make changes later because this one falls a little short. Yeah, so you can see those circles don't really line up. So it has a orbital period of 2 hours and 47 minutes, while the rest are around 2 hours and 50. And I'll actually change those a little later. Not during this episode, but afterwards I change that and make sure they're all as close as the same as I can get. So we've got this one. Point them all in the normal direction. I pointed that in the radial normal direction. That way the solar panels are able to be seen at all times. And this, I believe, is the last one that we send up. In total, we have 6. We really should send up a 7th. But, because there's 2 in the circle that can't communicate with each other. But it's really not too bad, because they all have connection. Yeah, so the 2 on the right that you can see right now, I really need to put another one in there so that all of them are in range of each other, but it doesn't really matter because that one in the bottom right can talk to the one in the top right, but it has to go halfway across the planet to do it, which is kind of impractical. So yeah, that's pretty much it for our network. We just need to make sure they're all pointed in the normal direction, activate the dishes to point at the current, the active vessel, and then rename them. So this is ComSat Zeta. The rest are, I think I go through them really quick. Yes, so Alpha, Zeta, Beta, Delta, Gamma, and Epsilon. They're listed in order. Yes, this is where I need to put one. They are listed in order of when I put them up, not their order clockwise. So yeah, they go every other. So Alpha, and then Beta's the 3rd one, and then Gamma would be the 5th one. Yes, so now we want to send up a station using our station science. And this is one of the bigger rockets that we've ever made. That station part is the thing on top. That weighs 20 tons, which is massive. Now you can tell the audio has cut out, the reason being that we are now 4 times normal speed, and we're about to drop our set of boosters, first set of boosters, then we have another set of boosters. We're actually already up to 12 kilometers, which isn't too bad, and we're still only using our solid rocket boosters. But we only have 2 kilometers per second of delta V. So this is going to be pretty close if we can make it at all. It takes about 4 to 4.5 kilometers per second of delta V to get into orbit around Kerbin. If it didn't have an atmosphere, it would really only take about 2 kilometers per second. So you lose quite a bit to the atmosphere. And the SAS is really not holding well, which is frustrating. Oh yes, so the IVA rules say that we should be flying this in IVA. However, we can't, because there are literally no, control things inside. You can control it from that station part, but you can't actually do anything with it. So yeah, that one did not make it into orbit. We ran out of fuel, so let's send this one up, which has even more boosters. The very, very Kerbal way of doing things. If at first you don't succeed, more boosters. So yeah, I just need to change up the staging a little bit. I have added a nose cone on top, which was there last time. This thing has the worst thrust to weight ratio when taking off. Yeah, we're only going 5 meters per second right now. And we've already burned through an 1/8 of the first set of boosters. We actually can drive a rover faster than we're going right now. But yes, so we've got the nose cone on top is for aerodynamic purposes. We don't actually have fairings large enough to contain this, which is kind of annoying. The expanded 2.5 meter fairings from KW Rocketry would probably work, and I'm not using procedural fairings. I do kind of enjoy not being able to fit everything inside fairings. It's a challenge, and it's kind of nice. If you can't tell, I kind of like the challenge that this series provides. So yes, this is one of our only non-IVA flights using Kerbols, and then here comes the nose cone. Goodbye, nose cone. Yeah, that was on a decoupler on the docking port. Those docking ports cannot do fuel transfer. And we find out later those docking ports can't do life support transfer. Yet, life support can be used. I could dock something with life support to it, and it would drain from there. I can't transfer it off, which is really annoying, and we'll end up solving that problem later with little Kerbal attachment system magic. So as you can see, we had that thing pointed at like 45 degrees, and it was just going sideways. But our apoapsis is getting up to 76 kilometers right now. We're trying to keep it right around 75, so that's why I'm burning a little underneath the horizon. We're 30 seconds away from apoapsis, and our periapsis is just now positive. And there we go, we have a positive periapsis. We are in orbit, even if it's not that great yet. But we have enough fuel that we can burn to raise our periapsis up to about 78. And then, yeah, what's our eccentricity right now? Ridiculously tiny. The closer to that is to 0, the more circular your orbit. We do have a little bit of inclination, but it's not enough that I'm really concerned, and now I'm going to shut down these engines just to make sure we do not accidentally fire them at any point in time. I have a habit of accidentally pressing the shift button. So now we need to activate our antenna, and now we have a connection back to the Kerbal Space Program. Wow, no, the Kerbal Space Center. Observe the mystery goo. Unfortunately, it will get us half a science if we recover it, which is not practical. We can do a crew report from here, but that's also not worth anything. So unfortunately, this science station can't really do anything science-related on its own, but there are lab modules that we can bring up here, dock to it, and then those are worth quite a bit of science, and we will be doing that next episode. For now, I'm going to do a little bit of Kethane scanning around the equator and hope that we find some, and they've got enough life support for a couple 100 days, I think. But I'm Mike, aka VMagico13. Thank you all for watching.